It was a crisp, rainy evening in downtown Chicago. And the luxurious Westlake Hotel was bustling with the usual crowd of businessmen, tourists, and conference attendees. The opulent lobby echoed with the soft hum of conversations, the clinking of glasses, and the distant strains of a piano playing in the corner. The hotel staff, dressed in their polished uniforms, moved with practiced grace, offering assistance to guests and ensuring everything ran smoothly. It was, by all accounts, just another typical night in one of the city's most prestigious establishments. However, none of the staff knew that a simple misunderstanding would soon send a ripple through the calm surface of this high-end hotel, leading to a story that would be talked about for years to come. Barack Obama, the former President of the United States, had recently taken a break from his usual busy schedule. On a rare occasion, he chose to fly under the radar, preferring a quiet stay at a hotel in his hometown without the usual fanfare and security detail. He had been in town for personal reasons, hoping to reconnect with old friends, maybe reflect, and enjoy a bit of anonymity. He arrived in a low-key manner, dressed casually in a navy blue jacket and khakis, looking more like an average traveler than one of the most recognizable faces in the world. But as he approached the front desk, the hotel staff, still fresh from a busy day, were caught in a moment of confusion. The young receptionist, busy checking in a group of loud tourists, barely glanced up when Obama stepped forward to offer his reservation details. Without missing a beat, she looked at him with a disinterested frown and bluntly asked, "I'm sorry, sir. We don't have any rooms available at the moment." Taken aback, Obama explained that he had a reservation under his name, even though the system didn't seem to reflect it properly. The receptionist, still distracted by her conversation with her colleague, gave him a curt nod and repeated her earlier statement with an air of finality. "I'm afraid you'll have to find another place to stay." It was an unusual situation for someone who had traveled the world, met heads of state, and navigated some of the most high-stakes diplomatic moments in history. But Barack Obama, ever the composed figure, simply smiled politely and decided to leave the matter at that. As he turned to walk out of the lobby, the receptionist didn't give him a second thought, assuming he was just another guest who hadn't bothered to make the proper arrangements. What the receptionist hadn't realized, however, was the identity of the man standing right before her. It wasn't until a few minutes later, when the hotel manager stormed into the lobby, his face pale with shock, that the true gravity of the situation became clear. "Did you just tell him there were no rooms available?" the manager demanded, his voice a mixture of disbelief and panic. "Do you know who that was?"
The receptionist blinked, confused. "Who?"
"That was Barack Obama, former President of the United States." The manager's voice lowered to a near whisper. "You've just kicked him out of our hotel." The room seemed to freeze. The receptionist's face drained of color as she realized the mistake she had made. The normally composed Obama, ever humble, had been treated as just another guest with a reservation issue, but this was no ordinary guest. With the hotel manager quickly scrambling to rectify the situation, they reached out to Obama, who was now sitting in a nearby cafe, calmly sipping his coffee as if nothing had happened. The manager and several staff members approached him with genuine apologies, offering to immediately provide him with a suite, along with complimentary services for the rest of his stay. But it was too late for that. Obama simply smiled, politely declining their offer. "It's all right," he said, his tone light and understanding. "Mistakes happen. And as the hotel staff stood there, flustered and red-faced, they knew they had made a grave error. The once quiet evening had turned into a whirlwind of embarrassment. But there was little they could do except learn from their mistake.
The Westlake Hotel would forever remember that night, the night they unknowingly kicked out the most famous man in the world. And to this day, the tale is passed down among the staff as a reminder: never underestimate anyone. For you never know who might be walking through the door.
The hotel manager, still in a state of shock, rushed to make things right. But Barack Obama's calm demeanor made it clear that he wasn't looking for special treatment. He had, after all, navigated much more intense situations during his presidency. From global crises to political squabbles. A minor misunderstanding with a hotel receptionist seemed like nothing more than an amusing, albeit inconvenient, blip on his evening. "Look, I understand," Obama said, putting his coffee cup down with a soft chuckle. "It's not your fault. I just need a little time to myself. I'll find another place." The manager, a seasoned professional who had dealt with some of the wealthiest and most influential people in the world, could barely meet Obama's gaze. He had been a part of the hotel's team for years and had seen his share of VIP guests. But never had he been so embarrassed. He had no idea how he could possibly make up for what had just transpired. "I really apologize, Mr. Obama. We'll do anything to make it up to you. Please stay," the manager insisted, his voice tinged with desperation. "We'll arrange everything, security, the finest suite, whatever you want. It's on the house." Obama leaned back in his chair, raising a hand in a gesture of peace. "It's all good. It really is. Just get me a cab, and I'll be out of your hair." But just as Obama stood to leave, something unexpected happened. One of the staff members, a young bellboy who had been working at the hotel for only a few months, approached the manager with a nervous look in his eyes. Sir," the bellboy said, his voice trembling. "There's someone asking for you at the front desk." The manager furrowed his brow. "Who?" The bellboy hesitated before responding. He didn't say who he was. But he mentioned something about a former president. The manager felt his stomach drop. Could it be? He nodded to Obama. And without another word, they made their way back to the lobby, where an entirely new set of problems was unfolding. The receptionist, still flustered, was nervously watching as a tall, impeccably dressed man stood before her, his eyes scanning the surroundings with a steely focus. It was clear from his posture and the intensity in his expression that he was not someone to be taken lightly. The manager approached him cautiously. "Can I help you, sir?"
The man turned slowly, his face lighting up when he saw the manager. "Yes. I think you can. I'm from the Secret Service. We've been monitoring the situation here. And I need to make sure your security is up to standard, immediately."
The manager froze. He had never seen this man before. But the words "Secret Service" rang loud and clear. His mind raced. And the realization hit him like a ton of bricks. This was no ordinary guest. Obama wasn't simply traveling under the radar, he had security everywhere. Even if the hotel hadn't known about it. Obama, meanwhile, was standing quietly at the side, watching the scene unfold with a bemused smile. He had already realized what had happened. The moment he had been kicked out was probably the moment his security team was notified, tracking every movement and ensuring his safety. As they always did. The tall man in the suit approached Obama, offering a sharp salute.
Mr. Obama. Apologies for the confusion. We've got everything covered now. Your suite is ready. Sir. We've taken the liberty of preparing it to your specifications.
Obama nodded. I appreciate it, he said softly. Still in good spirits despite the strange turn of events. But I think we can all learn something from this. Don't you think? The manager nodded. Though he wasn't sure what the lesson was yet. He turned to the receptionist, who was now visibly shaken. Don't worry. Mistakes happen. With that, Obama's security team swiftly moved in. And the once calm atmosphere of the hotel transformed into a well-oiled machine. As the former president settled into his suite, the manager had one last thing to say. Mr. Obama. We would love to make this right, dinner. Drinks. Anything you need. Please. Don't hesitate to let us know. Obama smiled. The same warm, disarming smile that had captivated millions during his time in office. Actually, I'm just here to relax. But you know, he added, it might be nice to share a drink with the staff who were involved in this unusual experience. A chance to laugh about it. The hotel staff was both relieved and thrilled by the offer. And as the evening went on, what started as a disaster soon turned into an unforgettable night of camaraderie. The hotel's staff, who had feared they would lose their jobs for this monumental error, ended up sharing stories and laughs with the most unexpected of guests. By the end of the evening, the receptionist, still a little embarrassed, walked over to Obama, who was surrounded by his team. I just wanted to say, I'm so sorry. I had no idea it was you. You're much more approachable than I expected, she said, her voice full of humility. Obama smiled kindly. It's all right. You know, sometimes it's nice to be just another person walking into a hotel, trying to check in.
And just like that, the chaos and tension of the night dissipated, leaving behind a warm sense of connection and understanding. The Westlake Hotel would never forget the night they kicked out Barack Obama, and they certainly wouldn't forget the lesson that came with it. You never really know who you're dealing with until you look a little closer.
And sometimes, even when you make a mistake, you get the chance to turn it into something special. As the night wore on, the staff of the Westlake Hotel found themselves in a whirlwind of unexpected camaraderie with the former president and his security team. The manager, who had started the evening in a state of complete embarrassment, now found himself seated at a table in the hotel's elegant lounge, a glass of whiskey in hand, as Obama casually shared anecdotes from his years in office. The initial tension had given way to a relaxed atmosphere. Obama was, as always, disarming in his charm and humility. He laughed along with the staff, listened intently to their stories, and even encouraged the young bellboy who had been so nervous earlier in the evening to tell a joke he'd been dying to share. It was a night none of them would forget. A chance to witness the true character of the man who had led a nation, human, approachable, and full of grace. But eventually, as the evening turned into the early hours of the morning, Obama stood up and excused himself. His security team had prepared everything for his departure, and it was clear that he had no desire to overstay his welcome, even in the warmth of the hotel staff's hospitality.
It's been a pleasure, he said, standing to his feet with a smile. I truly appreciate the kindness you've all shown tonight. You've made up for my rough check-in. And for what it's worth, don't be too hard on yourselves. I've had far worse experiences in hotels.
The staff exchanged glances, still in disbelief that they were standing in the presence of someone who had been such an important part of history. yet had handled the entire situation with such incredible poise. As Obama made his way toward the door, the manager hurried over to him, stopping him just short of the threshold. "Mr. Obama," he began, hesitating for a moment. "I know this is an unusual request. But, is there anything we can do to make this right? Dinner? A gift? Maybe?" Obama chuckled, his hands in his pockets as he turned back to face the manager. "You've already made it right," he said, his voice kind. "You've all made a mistake. But you've handled it with grace. I think that's more important than anything else." With that, Obama stepped out into the night. And as the door closed behind him, the hotel staff stood in stunned silence. For a brief moment, they simply looked at one another, processing what had just transpired.
The bellboy, who had been most nervous about the entire ordeal, finally spoke up. "Did that just happen? Did we really kick out Barack Obama?"
The manager smiled, his nerves finally beginning to settle. "Yes. We did. But we also just had a drink with him. And that's a story we'll be telling for a very long time." The following morning, as the hotel staff began their shift, they were greeted by a surprise. A delivery had arrived early in the day, a sleek, polished briefcase addressed to the hotel manager. Inside, they found a handwritten note on thick, presidential stationery, accompanied by a bottle of fine champagne. The note read, "To the Westlake Hotel staff. Thank you for your hospitality last night. You turned a minor mistake into a memorable experience. And I truly appreciate that. As a token of my appreciation, enjoy this bottle of champagne. And I'll be sure to recommend your establishment to anyone I meet in Chicago. Best wishes.
Barack Obama."
The staff exchanged looks of disbelief and joy. The hotel manager, his face flushed with both pride and awe, raised the note to the others. "We might have kicked him out last night. But today, we're drinking with a legend." And so, the Westlake Hotel went from the most embarrassing night in its history to one of the most talked about moments of its existence. Guests and staff alike marveled at the kindness Obama had shown, even after the mix-up. For the staff, it was a reminder that even in moments of mistake and confusion, character and humility could turn things around in the most unexpected ways. As the story spread through the city, the Westlake Hotel earned a new reputation, not only for its luxury and service but for having once hosted a former president in the most unusual of circumstances. And as for Barack Obama, the experience became yet another memorable chapter in his post-presidential life. A reminder that even the most extraordinary people are just that, people.